this is a really nice start. You tried all the skills. They're not all working at the moment, like I said in my little critique, but we can make them work with a couple little changes. Okay, so I also am impressed by things like you did comments here. You tried to do a lot of things. So let's figure out why it's not working exactly. Okay, so one thing is when you put these links in, you got to make sure they're always in the head. So let me make this a little bit bigger. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so now you can see it a little bit better. You have to make sure that all of your links to your text are actually in your head. So if we see, here's my head and here's my closing head, open and closing. All of your links need to be up here in the head. So you can see you have your other links are up here in the head. It looks like it's going fine. But then you put these links down here. So there's 2 of them that are down here. One is here. I'm going to take and I'm going to put it back up in the head. And the second one is here. Okay, so those 2 are having issues. Now, there's another issue. You can see right here, here's the end caret, and if I delete these spaces, you can see up here that this one says text/CSS and it's bright blue, but this one is darker blue. The reason is because you're missing this one little quote, and so you need the quote. And what you'll notice is as soon as I put that little quote in this little place, everything else in the rest of the document turns the right color. So that's a good thing. So again, this one little quote you got to put in after you've put them both in the head. Okay, so there's a couple other things. It looks like you're trying to put some styles into your HTML. We should never have styles, so I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to delete this little style in the P and return it just to a regular P. Also, again, here you're trying to put the tiles in here. You don't need styles in here. Just go with your regular P's. Now, each P that you have needs a closing tag. So remember, you got to make sure you do /P. So again, here's a P, here's a /P. Now, a lot of my students have always thought that you can have a P2. You cannot actually have a P2. So I'm going to get rid of this P2 and return it just to a regular P and a closing tag of P. So you did that really, really nicely. Now, one of the reasons that you have those funky lists is because not all your lists are actually closed up. So we have this list, ID equals order, which is great. I'm glad you got it given an ID. But it needs a closing UL. So /UL. So you want to make sure every single tag on your page has an opening and closing. So go through and say, oh, here's the UL. This needs to be closed as well. And then if we go down here, this one is closed very nicely. So you did that correctly. You did all the LIs and everything correctly. And I really love all these comments. I think that's a great thing to be really, really, really clean, organized, neat. Okay, so you gave it also some of these nice little classes. So I wanted to show you. As soon as we change those texts and we put that little quote back on, your text should start to show up, which is great. Yay, text. Okay, so also we need to go, oh yes, you have these classes. You put an orange class in here, you put some IDs and classes. When you go to select a class over here, I'm going to show you how to select it and it'll be kind of nice. So if you want orange text, right, you have this orange text, you need to do .orange text. And then give it some kind of interesting thing. I almost always give it a background color, just so that I can tell that it actually works, right? So I did the orange text, here's a background color. Let's preview. And now your orange text does have a background color. So you could do something else. You could do an actual color, but that's how you select your classes. So you gave it classes over here, which is great. Now if you want to select and style them, you can do it over here. The same thing is true of that P2, right? So instead of giving it a class, calling it P2 up here, you just call it, which one was it? It was this one. Let's say class equals, I don't know, they're called kickers, so we'll do kicker. It's up to you. You can give it whatever class you want. So I put a class in here for this P. And then instead of calling it P2 over here, we can say .kicker, right? Because that's the class over here. and then save it. And now it will show up that Parisian cursive that you wanted. There you go. Okay, so the only issue here was that you were missing these classes, right? The way to style them in your CSS. Oh, there's one other big issue here. There's all of this stuff right here. Now, nothing with caret should ever, ever, ever go in CSS. So I need to get rid of all of these. This is all stuff that was probably meant for your HTML, but you just put it in the end. So just get rid of it, and then you should be fine. And it looks like you have one extra. You can see it's in red there. You have one extra bracket. So I'm going to get rid of the bracket. Okay, now that all that's gone, it looks like the only things you needed to know was how to select a class over in your CSS. And you need to remember to put these links up here. And you know, they're little things like these little quotes and the P2 thing, but those are very little. All in all, it looks like you had most of the skills down. Let me know if you have any more questions.